This is Renault's new family hatch, and it's designed and built all in for battery power. There won't be a version with an engine. That frees up the design and proportions, and removes many compromises from the engineering. This Megane is the first one we've tested out of an upcoming massive range of electric cars from multiple brands, all using versions of the same platform. Renault's alliance partner uses it for the intriguing Oria crossover. Alpine will turn it into a high-performance electric crossover coupe. There'll be bigger Renaults, and Mitsubishis too. And in a couple of years the same underduds will spawn the next Nissan Leaf, which will be reinvented as a compact crossover built at Sunderland. At which point the overused phrase, "no pressure then," looms over the horizon. The proportions make it hard to judge. But it's just a normal size family hatch. Actually a little shorter than most. Using a purpose-designed structure brings the expected benefits to the Megane. It mostly feels roomy and has lots of cabin storage, thanks to a flat floor and long wheelbase. The dash is moved forward because the climate control tackle is tucked under the bonnet. The battery is just 110mm thick, little enough that you don't sit any higher than in the old, combustion engine Megane. The center of gravity has shifted a full 90mm closer to the ground than within the old car. Talking of which, this new Megane will sell alongside the current one until 2024. Why keep the old Stager? Because it has different power, plug-in hybrid and petrol Renault Sport. Renault's design chief Laurens van den Akker argues it's not an SUV despite the black wheel arch extensions. An electric vehicle needs to be super fluid and aerodynamic or you don't get anywhere. They actually designed two versions of this car, the regular hatch and a sporty one, with widened arches and more aggressive bumpers. The finance department didn't think much of the sports version, says Van den Akker. Then in mid-2020 Renault got a new boss, Luca de Meo, and on his second day he looked at prototypes of both and said, "Just make that one." He was pointing to the sports variant. So the base car was quietly shuffled off to oblivion. For now, the Megane is front drive only, which gives it a bigger boot than the VW ID.3. The motor is 130 brake horsepower or 220 brake horsepower. They run off a choice of two batteries, 40 kWh or 60 kWh, 220 brake horsepower only. Those are the usable capacities, by the way, not the gross maximum. That translates into WLTP range figures of 186 miles and 292 miles. We tested a big motor big battery one. It was pre-production, RHD cars don't land in the UK until late summer 2022. But it felt very much finished. Good question. We've had a lot of beefs with EV dashboards, some rely too much on touchscreens, some deprive the driver of a proper instrument panel. But the Megane has both a big twin-screen layout and not ungenerous rows of physical controls. The screens run on the Android Automotive operating system, but skinned in a Renault-specific way. We got on well with it. The main impression is of a really mature product. This despite the fact we were testing a pre-production car, nearly a year ahead of the UK launch. But then Renault has already sold 400,000 electric vehicles, mostly Zoes, across most of a decade, and they've run 6 billion miles, all connected back to the Renault mothership for analysis of battery and owner behavior. Renault likes to call the Megane an electric GTI, which is over-egging things a bit. It lacks the involvement of a good sporty petrol hatch. Still, the 220 brake horsepower version's performance is lively and the steering quick. Multi-link suspension gives it both responsive cornering and a very quiet, refined, although not that soft, ride. It's also efficient on its not that large battery. That helps with rapid recharging time. Click through to the driving tab for more on that. This Renault is fun to drive, so you might be tempted into range blunting speeds that negate the car's clever efficiency measures. Go sensibly though, and the range compromise is enough for most. Possibly the back seat space is tight for a leggy family. But for those, Renault will no doubt have other longer range derivatives before many years have passed. That's just standard practice in this business. As for the non-electric parts of it, the Megane is conventionally desirable and has a handsome, well-finished and easy-to-use cabin. The Megane is a car for people who know and like normal cars. You'll find little of the bare design or eccentricity that mark out the VW ID.3 or i3 or Leaf as pioneers. We had the Megane EV60. That figure is the net battery capacity in kilowatt-hour. It's the larger of the two choices. There's also a 40. The smaller can be had with 130 brake horsepower or 220 brake horsepower motors, but the bigger underfloor slab comes only with the more powerful motor. So that's what we had to slum it with, along with 20-inch wheels and all the driver assistance. The motor is magnet-free, using coils for the rotor and stator. It's an electrically excited synchronous machine. It's the most efficient kind in most sorts of driving and doesn't use rare earth metals. Renault has lots of experience, having also used this advanced motor in the Zoe. So there are no glitches in the way the Megane pulls, with a neat liquid smooth departure from rest and clean acceleration all the way to and beyond motorway speed. Even French motorway speed, as we found in France.